topic that we'll be doing today is quadratic inequalities. सबसे पहले let's understand the difference between quadratic equation and inequality and why can't we just solve them in the exact same pattern that we do. Let's talk about equations first. If I give you a factorized form of the quadratic equation x plus 3 and x minus 7 is equals to 0, how do you intend of solving this? 9, you do not need to expand this again. Why? It's already factorized. The logic that you use is, if I tell you that a into b is 0, so what do you say? If I tell you there are two numbers, they are multiplying and the answer is 0, so what do you tell me about each of those numbers? Very good, and that is the logic that we use here. The two brackets are multiplying and the answer is 0. So हम कहते हैं तो the first bracket is 0 or the second bracket is 0. Is this clear? This is the logic that we use. Now x is -3 or x is 7. These are your solutions. -3 डालने से ये 0 हो जाता है, which eventually makes the product 0. 7 डालने से ये 0 हो जाता है, which eventually makes the product 0. You are right. We give you the same answer, but that's a very stupid and long method once the equation has already been provided in the factorized form. Expand quadratic formula, very lengthy. ये logic समझिए जरूरी for the sake of inequalities. यहाँ तक clear है या नहीं? Now let's talk about inequalities. Let's go पहले इसको आराम से. Okay, now inequalities. Let's talk about one of the inequalities first. Similar case दे रहा हूँ मैं x plus 3 and x minus 7 is less than 0. What does less than 0 mean? Another synonym for less than 0 is? I'm not saying x is less than 0. I'm asking, tell me the values of x for which this product is less than 0. And less than 0 means negative. Another synonym for less than 0 is negative. In other words, I'm asking you, मुझे x की वो values बताओ जिससे this product becomes negative. नहीं, ऐसे नहीं देखना होगा. एक common error बच्चे क्या करते हैं? Because वो they are following the pattern. वो कहते हैं अच्छा यहाँ equal to था तो दोनों को अलग अलग रख दिया ना, तो यहाँ पे भी यही काम कर लेते हैं, which is a very wrong method. गलत है. क्यों गलत है? Listen to this. You are telling me कि ये भी negative हो जाए और ये भी. Tell me if both are negative, what will be their product? Product positive आ जाएगी. So this is entirely wrong. You cannot do it this way. पहले बात समझो ना. One way of doing it is आप कहें कि सर ये negative हो जाए और ये positive हो जाए. And the logic that you are using here is कि if the product has to be negative, तो एक positive हो और एक negative हो. फिर आपको ये भी देखना पड़ेगा that either this becomes positive and this becomes negative. चार inequalities बन जाएंगे. We'll have to solve these inequalities, make a number line, look at the overlapping regions, and then give your solution. Students studying in American system tend to be very good at it, so they tend to follow this method. We won't be following it. तो पहली चीज क्या क्लियर हो गई? ये साइन को लेकर हर जगह नहीं छापना है. Be very clear about it. Understand the logic now. How will we be doing it? Understand this. पहले, can you tell me the shape that this will make a happy face or a sad face? Yes, you can tell me through the coefficient of x square. X or x multiplying x square आ जाएगा. So you are telling me that this will give you a happy face. So the first thing that you do is make a sketch that this will give us a happy face. Is this clear? The second thing that you can tell me is कि ये equal to 0 कहाँ होगा? Remember, this is not the solution; it's a part of the solution. Equal to 0 कहाँ होगा? Again, यहाँ पे equal to 0 में तो logic लग जाएगी ना? Sorry, yeah, minus होगा, my bad. So x will be -3 and x will be 7. Is that right? यहाँ पे वो 0 होगा. Graphically, can you tell me where is the entire quadratic 0? पूरा quadratic 0 कहाँ होता है? X-axis. कहाँ पर? X-axis. So these are the x-intercepts that you are telling me. Is that right? So what are the two x-intercepts? Very good. Where should I label -3 and where should I label 7? Very good. -3 on the left hand side and 7 on the right hand side. Makes sense? Remember, we are trying to search for values where this entire quadratic is negative. That entire quadratic is, I am saying entire quadratic, पूरा quadratic कहूँ या y कहूँ, दोनों एक ही बात है. अगर मैं if I am talking about a graph, how do I draw a graph? Y is equal to करके पूरा quadratic लिखता हूँ. अगर मैं इसी चीज का ग्राफ बनाऊँ, if I ask you y is equals to, सही है गलत है? ग्राफ इसका बनेगा और मैं ये if I am saying this entire quadratic या y, दोनों एक बात है. सही ना? So I am asking you entire quadratic positive कहाँ होता है? Where is the entire quadratic positive? The entire quadratic is positive above the x-axis. या वर्डिंग चेंज करता हूँ. Y is positive above the x-axis. Y is negative below the x-axis. So I'll trace this curve for you and you tell me where do you find it positive. मैं ट्रेस कर रहा हूँ, मुझे बताते रहो साथ साथ क्या है यहाँ पे, क्या है. बोलते रहो बोलो 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 बोलो. नहीं, स्टेशनरी नहीं है, जीरो है. Do not call this stationary point. Stationary point is the turning point. That's a different thing altogether. Yes. So you told me here you found the quadratic to be positive. I'll continue tracing it and you tell me what do you see? What is this? What is the quadratic over here? Bolo, 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 bolo. Bolo, bolo, bolo. Keep on saying it. It's negative, it's negative, 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 negative. And again, when I'm on the border, it's zero. And again, where do the quadratic is? Remember, we are not talking about the values of x being positive or negative. We are talking about the entire quadratic being positive or negative. Come back to the question. What is the question asking? Tell me the values of x when the entire quadratic is. And when you traced it, where did you find it to be negative? Below the x-axis in this region? Yes. What values of x do you see in this region? कहाँ से कहाँ तक? From -3 till, so you'll say x is in between -3 and नहीं. The question is asking you to solve this. Solve का मतलब होता है finding the value of unknown. What is the unknown in this inequality for you? You have to tell me the values of x. The values of x that makes the entire quadratic negative. लिख लो इसको. Let's look at this example first. First question from my worksheet, x square minus 11x plus 24 is greater than equal to 0. First thing that we will try to do here is, अगर हम इसको factorize कर सकें, which we can, x square minus 8x minus 3x plus 24 is greater than equal to 0. X common x minus 8 minus 3 common x minus 8 is greater than or equal to 0. X minus 8 x minus 3 is greater than equal to 0. तो मैं इसको बगैर इसके भी without middle term taking के भी बताऊंगा. Don't you worry about it. सही है ना? Okay. Method वही रहेगा middle term taking से, just factorization होती है. It helps us finding critical points. We can find critical points through formula as well. Don't worry. So what will be the shape of this curve? Happy face. I am leaving it as a happy face. Now, what will be the critical points? Equal to 0 कहाँ होता है? X minus 8 is 0. Yeah, x minus 3 is 0. So the value of x is 8 and 3. Can you tell me how do I label 8 and 3? Very good. 8 and 3. And I'm searching for the values where my entire quadratic is greater than or equal to 0. Yeah, positive. So where do I find the quadratic to be positive? In this region and in this region. Now, can you tell me in this region what will be the value of x? Less than 3. और से graphically देखो ना, यहाँ पे x की value क्या होगी in this region? यहाँ पे x is 3 and as I go in this region, I am going left, right? So over here, ऊपर तो जा रहा हूँ, ऊपर नीचे से तो y change होता है. ऊपर जाते हुए where it is ultimately taking you, it is also taking you to the left. तो left पे जा रहे तो x की value 3 से कम है. And what about in this region? X is greater than or equal to 8. So you will write it as a split solution. You will say x is less than equal to 3 or x is greater than equal to 8. This will become very crucial for you A2 maths में, modulus functions में this becomes extra crucial. So please try to understand. Spelling वाले method clear है? Now another method. हमने पहले shape लिख लिया. If you do not want to do completing the square, sorry, factorization अगर आप middle term से नहीं करना चाहते, so what? आपने कहा सर पहले shape बना लिया. Shape कैसा होगा? Happy face. Then you said, sir, I will find the critical points using the quadratic form. सही है? You can easily do that. Remember that will give you critical points. So you find the critical points as 3 and 8. Then you label those critical points. Again, आप काम वो tracing वाला काम सारा वही है. And then you trace your solution, which you eventually get as x is less than equal to 3 and x is greater than or equal to 8. So critical points can also be found via quadratic formula if you do not want to use middle term thing. Ab bolo. Question 3 from the worksheet. I'll again try to attempt it both ways. Let's have a look at minus x square minus 7x minus 6 is greater than. Those who want to do middle term breaking, minus x square minus 6x minus x minus 6 is greater than equal to 0. Minus x common x plus 6 minus 1 common x plus 6 is greater than equal to 0. X plus 6 bracket minus x minus 1 is greater than equal to 0. Is this clear? What shape will this take? Shape. What shape will this take? Sad face. So we will draw a sad face for this. Now what about the critical values? कहाँ पर equal to 0 होगा? Very good. X is -6 and x is -1. Is this clear? Where should I label -6 and where should I label -1? -1 on right and -6 on left. Okay, now what region was I searching for? I wanted the entire quadratic to be greater than or equal to 0. That means above the x-axis. So if I trace the region, is this the region where it is greater than or equal to 0? Now what values of x do you have over here? In between -1 and -6. So how will you write it? You will say x will be in between -1 and -6. If you did not want to do middle term breaking, don't worry. What will you do first? First, you will sketch the shape. Happy face or sad face? Sketch kar lo shape ko pehle. Now, using the quadratic formula, you will find the critical values. बिल्कुल अगर स्प्लिट है तो वो तो इंफिनिटी तक जा रहा है. In between और split का फर्क समझ रहे हैं. So now x is -b minus 7 plus minus under root of -7 whole square minus 4. A is -1, c is -6 upon 2 -1. So once you solve this, you get two values of x. One is -6 and the other is -1. And what will be your solution? Your solution will be in between -6. Why? How do we know? Sir, we need greater than equal to 0. Greater than equal to 0 is above the x-axis. So once we trace our solution above the x-axis, यहाँ पे x की values क्या होंगी? Think of a graph. If I'm tracing this region, what values of x will be over here? -6 से लेके -5, -4, -3 and all those values, right? So x की values will be in between -6 and -1. वो -6 या उससे बड़ा होगा और -1 या उससे छोटा होगा. So this is an in-between region. You can write these values together like this. सही है. Another question, question 5 from same worksheet, less than 0. If you want to factorize it, you can. Minus 6x plus 4x. ये क्या है? ये less than 0 है. Negative, you're right. So now what shape will this take? Happy face. What will be the critical values? Very good. X is 6 and negative 4. So I find it happy face, negative 4 over here and 6 over here. Is that right? And I'm searching for the region where my quadratic is less than 0. Is that right? 0 se chota. Very good. This is the region I'm talking about. So what values of x? Very good. Less than 6. So can I say in between minus 4 and 6? I'm not putting an equal to sign here because the question does not have an equal to sign. Again, this can also be done through quadratic formulas. Critical values aati hain. Be clear about it. So if you want to find critical values, you can using the quadratic formula, but do not forget sketching a curve and tracing your solution. Do not forget about that. Okay. So in order to find the critical values, then use the quadratic formula. Please do show the working of using the quadratic formula. And then do not forget to trace your solution. Do not get too overoccupied by just using the sir aa gaya answer. Quadratic formula to quadratic formula is to solve the equation, not the inequality. Please be clear about it. Whatever you need to write down. Have a look at another question, question number 9 from the worksheet. If you want to draw the shape, which shape is this? That is. तो अब मैं पहले ही इस मेथड से करता हूँ quadratic formula वाले से, so that it doesn't confuse you. So first thing that we did was we drew the sketch that it is a sad face. Then in order to find the critical values, कि सर ये equal to 0 कहाँ होता है? We will use a quadratic formula, right? X is minus b minus minus 4 plus minus under root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. Is that right? Solve करके मुझे बताओ जरा क्या आ रहा है बेटे. 4 plus minus under root के अंदर क्या है? 16 plus 20 36 upon negative 2. So x की दो critical values आ गई. 4 plus 6 upon negative 2 and 4 minus 6 upon negative 2. So the two critical values are negative 5 and 1. So we know it's a sad phase we are talking about, right? And the sad phase, the two critical points are minus 5 and 1. So क्या होगा, कोई मुझे बता सकता है? So we'll draw a sad phase and your two critical points are minus 5 and 1. So where should I label minus 5 and where should I? Very good. And what region were you searching for? You wanted it to be less than 0. Trace it, trace the region. Where do you find it negative? In this region and in this region. Now, what values of x do you end up getting over here? यहाँ पे दोबारा गौर से देखो यहाँ पे. In this region, what values of x will you get? Think about the number line, the x-axis. Very good. Very good. And it's a split solution. Brilliant. X is less than equal to -5 and x is greater than equal to 1. Is this clear? समझ आ गया? Make sense? Obviously, this could have also be done. एक आध क्वेश्चन और using the quadratic formula ही पहले करा दूंगा, so that you won't have any problem. Yes. Again, इसको पहले quadratic formula से ही कर लेते हैं. Obviously, you can, but भूला मत करो. Do not get too overoccupied with using the quadratic formula. We're using the quadratic formula just to find the critical value. इसमें कोई दूसरा सवाल था. Wait. Okay, let's do this one. Again, you can obviously factorize it by using difference of square as well, but if you want to use the quadratic formula, happy face or sad face? Again, इसमें critical values बगैर quadratic formula के भी आ जाएंगे. बताओ, what two critical values do you get? 49 is equals to x square. X is 7 or -7. Is that right? What shape were you searching for? Sad face. ठीक है ना? Sad face. And what two critical points did you get? -7 यहाँ level हो गया. And what region were you searching for? 7 equal variable के perspective से बताओ. X हम we are searching for less than equal to 0. That means very good. Split solution. X is greater than equal to 7 and less than equal to -7. Is this clear? Makes sense? Problem तो नहीं है यहाँ तक? Anything that is not clear till this point? So let's try to do this one. Again, let's simplify this first. 9x squared minus 24x plus 16 is less than equals to 0. So clear है ना simplification तो? Okay, now what? Happy face. You said, sir, I'll find the critical values through the quadratic formula. Is that right? Yes. So x is minus b plus minus under root of b square minus 4, a is 9, c is 16 upon 2a. So 24, can you tell me what do you get inside the square root? Zero. So how many critical values do you end up getting? 24 upon 18, which is 1.5. एक ही आ रही, देखो यही आ रही है. Check कर सकते. So you tell me, how will you observe your graph to be? If you are only getting पहले the shape, what is the shape? Happy or sad? Happy. Now, if there are just a single critical value, how do you expect the x-axis to be? कितनी जगह वो curve को cut कर रहा है? Now imagine, how do you imagine the line to be? वो एक ही जगह cut करे curve को. हाँ, एक ही जगह cut करे. Draw the line for me. Where do you see it cutting the curve just once? Very good. It will be a tangent, and it will just cut the curve like this. Is that right? And what is the value where it will cut the curve? 1 point. Tangent कैसे होगा? Quadratic तो जाता ही रहेगा ना ऊपर तक. सही है. Okay, now come to the question. Where what do we want? We want the curve to be less than or equal to. So we want it to be either 0 या 0 से. So is it coming below the x-axis? Where do you see the curve below the x-axis? So where if I trace the curve here, it will be positive, 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 and what will you get over here? 0, and the curve will again be positive, positive. So the curve is always positive, but it is 0 at one point. At which point? 1.5. So your final answer will be x is equals to 1.5. No inequality involved, because that is the only value where you find your curve to satisfy this inequality. What was the question asking? It was asking you the entire quadratic had to be less than or equal to 0. Sir, less than तो हो ही नहीं रहा, equal to और हाँ सर एक जगह और है. So सर पर यही solution है. X is only 1.5. 1.5 ही आया. दोबारा एक दफा देख लो. 1.5. हाँ 6 से करोगे 1.5 नहीं आ रहा, गलत वैल्यूज बता रहे हो. दोबारा देख लो. 4/3 आएगा आई बिलीव. इसकी करेक्शन कर लो. करो 6 से आते मेरे हिसाब से तो 4/3 है. 24/18 करो तो वो 4/3 होगा. जस्ट रेक्टिफाई द वैल्यू. मैं कहता हूँ ना मेथड मेरा वैल्यूज आप लोगों, इसलिए वैल्यूज हमेशा मुझे निकाल कर सब बताया करो. तसल्ली नहीं किया करो तो भाई वैल्यू आ गई तो. ओके, सो द वैल्यू ऑफ x इज 4/3. So that is your only solution. Is this clear? समझ आ गई बात? हमेशा रटा रटा एक हिस्सा पेटा. There is no method. You need to understand what the question is asking, and while tracing what particular solution, what value or range of values are we getting. Is this clear? So please do not rote learn the entire